The Zalari Dominion is a vast alien empire known for its ruthless monarch, Queen Virelia, and her terrifying enforcer, Carex, a living weapon. Towering at nearly 4 meters tall and bristling with bioengineered armor, Carex is no mere creature. He is the result of centuries of Zalari genetic manipulation and psychic conditioning. Programmed to obey only the Queen, he is a symbol of her absolute authority, an unchallengeable force that stands silent behind her throne, his eyes ever watchful. As the story opens, the Zalari are hosting a peace summit with several species of the Galactic Confederation in a glittering obsidian fortress orbiting the dead moon of Varric 9. The goal: negotiate territorial limits and prevent another costly war. Among the diplomats attending is Commander Lyra Mace, a decorated human, officer reluctantly assigned to the delegation. Her presence is controversial. Years ago, she commanded a defense force that repelled a Zalari assault on the colony world of Thalos Prime, an act that led to the deaths of thousands of Zalari warriors and brought shame to Queen Virelia's reign. Virelia hates her. Despite this, protocol demands that Lyra be allowed entry to the royal chamber for initial negotiations. Tension crackles as the two lock eyes. Virelia speaks only in clipped tones, treating the human as a pest, while Lyra maintains professionalism. But then, something strange happens. As Virelia's guards approach Lyra to escort her out, Carex, silent until now, steps off his ceremonial dais. The entire chamber falls into stunned silence. With a low, guttural growl, Carex positions himself between the guards and Lyra, blocking their advance. His eyes, usually cold and vacant, lock onto hers with eerie familiarity. The guards hesitate, unsure. Virelia rises to command Carex to return, her voice sharp and commanding. But the beast does not move. Panic spreads among the Zalari attendants. No one has ever seen Carex defy a direct order. He has torn apart assassins with a glance, crushed rebel generals underfoot. His loyalty to the Queen was absolute. Until now. Lyra, shocked and confused, instinctively raises a hand and speaks softly, trying to calm the creature. Carex responds, immediately lowering his head in a strangely submissive gesture. Gasps erupt from the alien court. A human, the human, has just commanded the Queen's sacred guardian beast, and it obeyed. Queen Virelia's fury is volcanic. She demands Lyra be arrested and interrogated. She accuses the humans of tampering with Carex. The Galactic Confederation delegation is thrown into chaos as guards raise weapons and political tensions flare. Lyra, still under protection from diplomatic immunity, is escorted back to her quarters under heavy surveillance. Carex, oddly docile, attempts to follow but is forcibly restrained by containment fields. The Queen storms out, ordering her scientists to uncover what went wrong. Behind closed doors, Lyra struggles to process what happened. Why did Carex react to her that way? Why did it feel familiar? The seed of mystery has been planted. A beast known for absolute obedience has turned, and not toward rebellion, but toward a human the Queen despises. Nothing in the Zalari Dominion will ever be the same again. In the aftermath of Carex's unprecedented defiance, the political climate in the Zalari capital grows tense. The palace becomes a hive of conflicting theories, frantic scientists and suspicious security officers. Queen Virelia is enraged and humiliated. Her perfect, unquestioning guardian has responded not just to someone else, but to a human, and one she loathes. To the proud Zalari, this is more than a failure of control. It's a sign of weakness, one that could unravel her rule if not explained and resolved swiftly. Lyra Mace, meanwhile, is kept under strict diplomatic lockdown. Her every movement is monitored. She receives minimal communication from her own delegation, who are equally confused and alarmed. Lyra tries to piece together what happened in the throne room. She reviews old mission logs, scours personal notes, and begins to feel the stirrings of something buried. Vague dreams, flashes of memory, sounds and images from a mission years ago that don't fully make sense. During one restless night, Lyra dreams of a dark, ruined facility, an abandoned alien research site where her team had recovered a strange containment pod. She remembers being ordered to escort it to safety during an operation in her early career. The pod had pulsed with life, and inside it was something warm, scared, and alive. She had spoken to it, soothing it during the transport while fending off attackers. But after the mission, the pod was taken away by unknown intelligence agencies, and she never heard of it again, until now. Back in the Zolari labs, Virelia's top scientists uncover a buried truth. Carex's genetic makeup isn't entirely of Zolari origin. Years ago, a prototype embryo, classified as unstable and contaminated by human handling, was stolen from a Zolari biolab during the Thalos conflict. That same embryo was later recovered, altered, and grown into what would become Carex. Virelia was told it had been purified and made loyal. She believed the conditioning would override any early imprinting, but the imprint held. Lyra's voice, the first voice Carex ever heard, was hardwired into his synaptic patterns during a critical bonding window. She isn't just familiar. To him, in the deepest recesses of his neural code, she is the protector. No reprogramming or psychic reinforcement could fully erase that. Virelia is livid. She was never informed of this detail. The revelation shatters the myth of Carex's infallible loyalty and exposes cracks in her own inner circle. Trust erodes rapidly within her court. Advisors begin whispering, if the queen no longer controls the guardian, is she truly the sovereign? Lyra is summoned for questioning under the guise of scientific examination. But she's no fool. She understands Virelia is hunting for a justification to remove her permanently. However, her bond with Carex makes her too dangerous to execute outright, especially in front of the other delegates. Worse, the creature grows unstable when kept away from her too long, rattling its containment chambers and refusing nourishment. The queen finds herself caught in a terrible paradox. She hates the human who humiliated her but cannot control her. Most powerful weapon without her. The whispers grow louder. Some in the court suggest a new strategy. If Virelia cannot control Carex alone, perhaps she must pretend to share that power. And thus, a fragile and dangerous triangle begins to form. Between a queen, a creature, and a woman neither asked to be chosen. Queen Virelia is seething. The revelation that her prized guardian Carex imprinted on a human, her most bitter enemy, shakes the foundations of her authority. Every day that passes with Carex defying her orders and responding to Lyra, Mace deepens the humiliation. Her court grows restless. Counselors whisper of fate, omens, and divine retribution. Rivals eye the throne with renewed interest. The queen, once unquestioned, now faces the slow erosion of loyalty from within her empire. But executing Lyra is out of the question, for now. Carex has become increasingly unstable in her absence. He trashes containment cells, refuses to eat, and emits low vibrating roars that disturb the entire palace. Worse, he ignores even Virelia's direct psychic commands. Every attempt to reassert control ends with the same result. The beast's eyes turn toward the human diplomat's quarters, as if waiting for her return. Under pressure, Virelia arranges a highly restricted private meeting with Lyra under heavy guard and containment measures. Carex is brought in under sedation, but the moment he senses Lyra's presence, he becomes docile, his rage fading into calm obedience. To the shock of all present, Carex lowers his head at her feet. Scientists record the moment. Political analysts issue quiet warnings. This is no accident. It's bond recognition. Lyra, still unsure of how to handle the situation, takes a risk and speaks to Carex softly. He responds with unmistakable loyalty, moving when she gestures and even shielding her from a sudden noise. The room watches in stunned silence. The queen's monster is no longer solely hers. Now Virelia faces a chilling truth. She needs Lyra, not just to control Carex, but to maintain the illusion of authority in front of her people. Reluctantly, she proposes a tense and temporary arrangement. Lyra will remain under diplomatic house arrest within the palace and will be allowed supervised contact with Carex. In return, Carex's obedience can be publicly framed as shared between queen and guest. A ruse, a balancing act. Lyra accepts, but with her own condition: full protection under Galactic Confederation law and access to all files related to Carex's creation. She intends to understand what was done to him and to her. Neither woman trusts the other. Their alliance is a fragile one, forged from necessity, not respect. As weeks pass, the arrangement barely holds. Lyra is shunned by the Zalari court, though a few young scholars and soldiers begin to observe her with awe and curiosity. Meanwhile, Carex grows even more attuned to her, only calming when she's present, resisting all attempts to separate them. And then, disaster strikes. A third-party force, the Zorvane Collective, a secretive enemy of both humanity and the Zalari, launches a surprise assault on the summit world. Explosions rock the outer perimeter. Alien ships descend in a coordinated strike. Their goal? Eliminate both Virelia and the Confederation delegates in one devastating blow. The palace defense grid begins to fail. Chaos erupts. Lyra is locked in her quarters. Carex is sealed in his containment chamber. And Virelia, caught off guard, finds herself alone and vulnerable as the walls begin to fall. The queen's pride may have kept her from trusting Lyra, but now, survival may depend on the very human she tried to erase. The Zorvan Collective's surprise assault shatters the illusion of peace in an instant. The summit moon becomes a war zone as explosions tear through Zalari defenses and infiltration pods rain from the skies. Virelia's palace, once a monument of obsidian pride and order, is engulfed in chaos. Communications are cut. Power grids flicker. Armed enemies sweep through the corridors, targeting Royal Command and Galactic Confederation delegates alike. Virelia, still within the throne wing, is forced to confront a terrifying reality. She is alone, vulnerable, and betrayed by her own hubris. Her personal guard is decimated within minutes. Emergency protocols activate, sealing off her chambers, but not before a Zorvane strike team breaches the outer gates. Trapped and wounded, the queen has no one left to call upon. Meanwhile, Lyra, Mace is locked in her diplomatic quarters, unarmed but fully aware of the stakes. The sound of distant gunfire grows louder. Carex, in his containment chamber several levels below, thrashes against reinforced walls, his rage boiling over as he senses Lyra is in danger. When guards attempt to abandon their post, the beast breaks free. What happens next is legend. Carex, unstoppable and filled with singular purpose, tears through corridors, slaughtering invaders and collapsing steel bulkheads in his path. He bypasses soldiers, ignores Zalari cries for help, and makes a straight line toward Lyra. Bursting into her quarters with a roar, he crouches low, allowing her to climb onto his armored back. In that moment, the chain is reversed. The monster, that once served a queen, now follows a human without question. Together, they make their way through the collapsing palace. Lyra, using her battlefield instincts, guides Carex through flanking corridors and ambushes. She fights alongside him, reclaiming weapons and helping Zalari civilians trapped by debris. Every action is broadcast through emergency security. Feeds that reach Virelia's hidden chamber. The queen watches in stunned silence as her most hated enemy fights to save her people. But the most shocking moment comes when Lyra and Carex reach the throne hall and battle through the last line of Zorvane warriors to save the wounded monarch. For the first time, Lyra kneels beside the queen, offering her hand instead of a weapon. Carex stands behind them, not as a tool of domination but as a bridge between worlds. Together, the three form an unlikely alliance. Lyra coordinates with surviving Confederation officers. Carex clears the path, and Virelia, swallowing her pride, commands what remains of her military to follow the human's tactical lead. The tide turns. The Zorvane are repelled, in the eye, Aftermath, the galaxy watches with bated breath. Footage of K-Rex obeying a human, of Virelia and Lyra fighting side by side, becomes a symbol, not of weakness, but of transformation. The Zilleri court, once bitter and divided, sees that power is not diminished when shared, especially when survival demands it. Virelia does not forgive easily, but she does adapt. Lyra is offered a permanent diplomatic role, not as a subordinate, but as a recognized protector of peace. K-Rex, once a beast of fear, now walks with purpose at her side. A new era begins, forged in fire, bound by trust, and born from a bond no one understood, until it saved them all.